Let's go to the South Gauteng High Court, where former Northwest Premier Supra Mahumapelo has taken the ANC NEC to court today. He's joined the bid to overturn the decision to disband his provincial executive committee in August. Mahumapelo stepped down as Northwest Premier in May after allegations of corruption led to violent protests in his province. Advocate Dalimpofu is representing him. Let's go live now to eNCA's Aldrin Sampear, who's been tracking the court proceedings today. So, Aldrin, earlier on, the court proceedings focused on the preliminary matter of whether or not this issue was urgent, and this was before they could get into the substantive issues that are being raised by Supra Mahumapelo. Are we at that point now where we are dealing with the essence, to quote a word that he likes, of that case?
Well, we're not at that stage as yet. We've just adjourned for about 30 minutes to allow the judge to go and script his judgment with regards to whether this matter is urgent or not. And remember, that was phase one of these proceedings, whether this application that has been brought is urgent. And as we heard before, Mukari, who's presenting the ANC, said the matter is not urgent because these people should have brought, the applicants rather, should have brought the case immediately after the NEC took the decision to disband the PEC. There's also this argument around how urgent this matter is, considering, and this is now on the basis of the applicants, considering that the province would be heading into a conference in February. And in the application, the applicants do mention that it takes about 3 months to prepare for that conference. And the argument from Ngugaitobi, who's representing the applicants, he's saying that you can't have a PTT which is illegal, continuously making illegal decisions heading into such a conference. And of course, a lot of emphasis that has been made on the Ramakatsa matter. Remember that the Ramakatsa case is the 2012 case where ANC members in the Free State took the party to court to try and prevent the PEC in that province from having voting rights in that conference. And that's a constitutional court ruling that has been relied on heavily during these arguments in terms of urgency.
Well, it seems, I hear you mention the name Advocate Ngugaitobi. He's fast becoming the go-to guy for these ANC versus ANC cases, isn't he? But then, Aldrin, this question of the urgency, what is the essence, what is the main argument they are making about the harm and damage that they are saying, and perhaps prejudice, that they are saying they continue to suffer for as long as the provincial executive committee remains disbanded and in place there is this provincial task team?
Well, the argument that has been made in court, and this has been emphasized by Supra Mahumapelo as well when I spoke to him earlier on before the court proceedings started, is that what people should recognize is that the PEC is a legitimately elected structure of the ANC in the province, and it has its 4 terms, and that 4 terms now comes to an end. That 4 term, the 4-year term comes to an end now in February, and they should remain there. He's actually said that one of the reasons that he decided not to be part of the provincial task team is because the provincial task team is an appointed task team. It's not an elected. It's not an elected body, and that's one of the reasons that they put forward. But listening to Ngugaitobi, he's making the argument that whatever decision the PTT takes will have some sort of impact on the governance of the Northwest, considering, of course, that the ANC is the governing party in the Northwest. And again, that was reliance on the Ramakatsa matter as well, wherein the Constitutional Court also spoke about the role of the PEC in the ANC in the Free State and how that has an impact on the governance of the Free State.
So we are awaiting the judge to come back and give us a sense of whether or not this matter is urgent. But I imagine a lot riding on this. I see that behind you, I see, I think that's the ANC's, someone in the legal department of the ANC in the Secretary General's office. So clearly the ANC taking this quite seriously because a lot is at stake here.
Well, certainly, and that's the reason why you had Mukari coming in and then arguing that instead of having all the matters being debated here, including urgency, including the merits of the case, let's rather deal with urgency first. And that will, of course, give the ANC more time to come up with a more solid case and a case that they can rebut some of these allegations that have been made by the applicants as well as Supra Mahumapelo. So certainly this is a matter that they are taking quite seriously. But when the judge then comes back, the judge will then give us a judgment, and he might say that this matter is not urgent and then strike it off the roll and say that the applicants must go and reapply and go on to the normal court process, and then there'll be a normal court date that will be set, ordinary court date that will be set for the matter to be heard. But the judge could come back and say that the matter is urgent, and what we heard earlier on from Advocate Dalimpofu, who's representing Supra Mahumapelo, he made the argument that actually some of the merits have already been dealt with, although not a lot, but some of the merits have already been gone into, and they believe that maybe there's enough time for the various councils to argue the merits today. But I doubt that will be happening if indeed the judge does say that this matter is urgent. The judge did indicate that if you take into consideration that the matter of urgency has taken so long, what about the merits themselves? And we heard from Mukari there saying earlier on, just before the adjournment, that we as the ANC have not dealt with the merits as yet.
All right, thank you so much. We'll hear from you a bit later on as to that outcome that we are expecting on the question of urgency of that application.